Don says in question 29, you stated in a much earlier session that it is necessary to polarize anything more than 50% service to self to be harvestable fourth density positive. That big red asterisk there is because there is a mistake. There is no 50% service to self. There needs to be a 95%. And Don is referring, of course, to fourth density positive, so he just mixed up service to self with service to others. This should be service to others. I'll explain this a little bit more, or refresh, as it were. Was this condition the same at the time before the veil, the same percentage? Actually, let me clarify this before I forget. You should remember that there is a requirement of 51% or more service to others to be able to graduate to fourth density, move on to fourth density, or a 95% service to self or more, or rather a 5% or less service to others to graduate to fourth density negative. So Don said it wrong here. He said 50% service to self, more than that, to be able to fourth density positive. So, all right, easily explained. Let's see what Ra meant in their answer. But the question was there the same condition before the veil? Do we needed to polarize ourselves 51% service to others? And that's the big mistake here, because one, before the veil, there was no service to self. You see, and this is why I like to call it service to the one, and you'll see why, because Ra says something here that is possibly going to reinforce my view here. But yeah, there was no service to self then, and the question should be, was it necessary to polarize yourself 51% more service to others? So let's see what Ra says. Did you have to go 51% before the veil? Service to others. Ra says, this shall be the last full query of this working. The query is not answered easily, for the concept of service to self did not hold sway previous to what we have been calling the veiling process. The necessity for graduation to fourth density is an ability to use, welcome, and enjoy a certain intensity of the white light of the one infinite creator. Ooh, that is so powerful. In your own terms, at your space-time nexus, this ability may be measured by your previously stated percentages of service. So big pause here. Whew. Couple of things. Ra says that the concept of service to self did not hold sway. Ra at some point said that before the veil, service to self did not existed. Potentially did exist, because all things are possible, but it was not possible. Rather, it was not probable to be used, and indeed probably wasn't used, because it lacked enough veiling. You see, it lacked enough. What's the word? Credibility, maybe, to be able to perceive yourself as separate. I mean, the perception was there, but it was not intensified, because it was easy to see. It's me. It's not something else. Again, I keep saying that it's like trying to surprise you. Buy yourself a present online and send it to yourself. Try to be surprised by it. You see? You won't, because you'll remember and you'll see, yeah, I know, I remember when I bought it. Even if you forget, when you get it, you'll be surprised. Oh, it arrived. But I know what it is. See, so you can be surprised. You see it already. You know it. It's part of your knowledge. So that's one thing that I wanted to point out. Service to self did exist potentially, but wasn't used before the veil. The necessity for graduation to fourth density is an ability to use, welcome, and enjoy a certain intensity of the white light of the one infinite creator. This is so much clearer at this point than just saying 51% service to others. Because I have seen people confuse saying oh, I need to go and service other people. The more people I serve, the more I will increase my percentage. This is the same idea of the more I go to church, the closer I get to heaven. The more I pray, the closer I get to Jesus. That's a mistake. That's not how it works, because it's yourself. You're not being honest with yourself and not seeing, well, am I praying because I am really devoted to this and I just enjoy it and I want to sacrifice my life, not meaning that I'm going to cut myself, cut my veins or something. I'm talking about, sacrifice this view of you being whatever it is that you thought you were. Give away all of that in service to this happiness that you are, because that's what Jesus is supposed to inspire, not sacrifice in the sense of nailing yourself at a cross or dying for whatever. There are so many misconceptions. So I see that the same thing happens with people who study the law of one, and they say, oh, you have to become 51% because you have to become an angel. In order to be in fourth density, you have to be good and all these things. Oh, I see the same religious jargon being thrown at people, and I don't believe in this. I just don't. So Ra says here, the necessity for graduation to fourth density is an ability to use, welcome, and enjoy. Use, welcome, and enjoy. To be able to use this energy, right? This white light of the one infinite creator. You may say to me, well, Gabe, I need to meet the one infinite creator to do that, don't I? And I would say to you, yes, you do. But it's not an external you, it's you. Where are you going? How far do you have to go to reach the place where you are right now? The moment you realize this, the moment you know who you are, then you begin to see that all you need to do is to be yourself. See, that's what everybody has been saying. And in Zen, we emphasize it. We say, just be spontaneous you. Let the judgment come and go, but you be you. You see? Just be who you are. Ra says it. And I forget the exact quote, but they say that it's something spontaneous. In fact, I'll look it up because I'm so pumped and excited to read this. I'll look it up. It won't take me long. See, if I want to look up something, this, yes. Ra says, in 41:19, they say, the key to balance may be then seen in the unstudied, spontaneous, and honest response of entities toward experiences. See? Spontaneous. That's it. That's all you have to be. The repression of emotions depolarizes the entity insofar as it chooses not to use the catalytic action of the space-time present in a spontaneous manner, thus dimming the energy centers. So if you are chastising yourself because some guru told you that you have an issue in your yellow chakra or orange or whatever it is, and you continue to beat yourself upon that because that's because of my attitude of this way, and I shouldn't react with anger or with this or whatever it is the case, unless you're going to harm other people. Then that may be a good repression, because you're going to harm yourself even more by doing something like that. So it's better to hold on to that. It's better to take that damage of repression of anger that's going to affect somebody. But if it's just a reaction in how you want to say things, and you may insult somebody, but who cares? You're saying what you are. Why do you have to be pure is my point. See, we get this idea and it's not. And sorry that I deviate so much, but I felt that the word spontaneous was necessary here. And Ra is saying the repression of emotions. Again, this is in session 42, not session 41. Session 42, question 9. Ra said the repression of emotions depolarizes the entity. Depolarizes. We're talking about polarization here. You have to be spontaneous in what you are. That is the only way you can learn. It depolarizes the entity insofar as it then chooses not to use the catalytic action of the space-time present, the moment, the situation. You didn't choose to use it. Catalytic action was to see how you react and then learn about yourself, know yourself. No, you have to be spontaneous. And thus, what happens is that you dim the energy centers. You see? And I would just finish reading this paragraph because I think it's important to mention when Ross says, there is, however, some polarization towards positive if the cause of the repression is consideration for other selves. Which again, if you do have some consideration, but some polarization happens. Some polarization happens if you do repress yourself for not hurting somebody else, which again could be knowing that you're going to offend somebody. But if you react spontaneously and the other person feels insulted by what you said, if you're going to laugh at them and mock them, then just, that's probably not positive polarization. You have to see. And if you do, that's fine. Just analyze everything. Don't ever consider anything that you do bad. You see, what we call bad is simply something that we know it's not what we are. So why keep doing it? You see, there's so much to talk about here, but it's just so powerful that they said this. The necessity for graduation, meaning polarization in the positive, is an ability to use, and I'm sure that this goes into the negative as well. It's an ability to use, welcome, and enjoy. Use that light of awareness of who you are. Welcome as it comes to you, right? That's coming all the time, and enjoy that. A certain intensity, they call it a certain intensity because 4 density, of course, is just the beginning of the higher portions of the experience of the self. And Ross says, in your own terms, in our space-time nexus, this ability may be measured by the previously stated percentages of service because we have service to self. And so we can call service to self or service to others. See? And that's important. Now, but in general, this is the graduation process. Okay, so let's finish up. More of what Ra is saying here. Prior to the veiling process, the measurement would be that of an entity walking up a set of your stairs, each of which was imbued with a certain quality of light. The stair upon which an entity stopped would be either 3rd density light or 4th density light. Between the 2 stairs lies the threshold. To cross that threshold is difficult. There is resistance at the edge, shall we say, of each density. Which makes sense, of course. If you're able to play with this light of the Creator enough, then 3rd density stops being, say, the level in which you're playing. You see, you kind of graduate from certain games. Instead of being in trials and tests and all these things, I'll call it game. How about that? It's easier for us to understand it and not see it so seriously. You see, so it's a game. Why would you want to play in a level in which you don't? You manage it good enough. You move on to the next one where there is more challenges, and you become better. What do you become better at? Unity. You get closer to the Creator. So each step in Ra says that prior to the veiling process, the measurement would be that of an entity walking up a step of your stairs. So 3rd density, 4th density, 5th density. And well, they saw that and they said, if I want to get there, I need to polarize myself more, but I just don't know how to. So I'll go into the next incarnation to hopefully see, what it is for me to learn. We didn't have good teachers, and the good teachers was the environment in general. That's why we created this veil illusion. Between the 2 stairs lies the threshold. To cross that threshold is difficult. There is resistance at the edge, shall we say, of each density. Finally, they say, and this will conclude our session today, the faculty of faith repeat that. The faculty of faith or will needs to be understood, nourished, and developed in order to have an entity which seeks past the boundary of 3rd density. Those entities which do not do their homework, be they ever so amiable, shall not cross. It was this situation which faced the logoi prior to the veiling process being introduced into the experiential continuum of third density. May we ask if there are any brief queries at this working? That concludes today's video and episode, but also session 82. So once again, the faculty of faith or will needs to be understood, nourished, and developed for an entity to seek to pass this boundary of third density. Our view of reality is easily explained, and I want to just summarize this, is easily explained as the inner view. All of us humans have a specific view. Never mind the difference in how we see this. The differences don't matter here. The overall conclusion of this is not the conclusion of the video, by the way, but the overall conclusion of our view of reality is really what matters here. Not the way we do it, but what we see. And what is it that we see? We either see separation, which again, it's just one word, but it's how much do we feel separate from other people, and our actions, how do they reflect that? It's very important, because our actions are determined by what we feel, what we are, what we think we are. So we act against each other in a way that may not be so kindly. That's separation. Or kindly, which is unity. But all of these things, it's not about the action. You can't mimic, you can't pretend, you can't fake to be one with the other. And that's what a lot of people try to do religiously. It's not about that. It's about how you feel. And if you can see that, if yourself, your own self, is informing you properly, and if you're listening to your own self. So all of this, to me, it summarizes it all. It is your own ability to see that. And I'll emphasize that the first separation, as Ross says, is of self from self. You see yourself as not worthy. You see yourself as not part of this. You see, depression does this. Depression brings you to the point of creating the most illusory aspect of yourself, which is I am alone, I am nobody, everybody is away from me, separate from me, nobody cares about me, nothing around me cares, the universe, nature, people, and my own mind just hates me. That's depression, you see. So if we revert that and say, oh, first of all, I don't exist. This is simply the expression of the universe. And the nature of the universe is harmony. Well, this is it. Then it's not possible for you to see separation. It starts informing you. And like I said, the differences into how we see this don't matter. They really don't matter. Each one of us is supposed to see this unity differently. That's the point. So Ross says that the faculty of faith and will needs to be understood, nourished, and developed in order to have an entity which seeks past the boundary of third density. Yes, that faculty of faith or will is determined in, you know where, unity. To see that, to want to desire that from the universe, the only thing you care is that. Yeah. Those entities which do not do their homework, see, be they ever so amiable, shall not cross. You have to do your homework. Your homework is home work, inner work. Can I get away with that? That was the situation that prior to the veil was concerning the logoi. and why the veil was introduced, which makes sense. It intensifies it.